Hello and welcome back to Abundantly Minimal. 5 years ago today, I uploaded my very first Abundantly Minimal video. I had no idea what was going to happen or what this particular journey was going to look like, but here we are. I am so grateful for all of the support along the way and so grateful to be able to do this and create videos for you all about minimalism and intentional living. And I thought today it would be fun to take a walk back down memory lane and look at some of my videos throughout my journey. I want to share a few little behind the scenes stories and tidbits that you might not know. And I thought this could just be a fun way to sort of celebrate that it's already been 5 years and there's well over 300 videos on this channel. When I first started creating these videos, I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, I hoped that it would become something that would support other people and inspire other people. And I think 5 years ago, I would be blown away and incredibly humbled just to see what has ended up happening here. So I do just want to say thank you. No matter when you joined the Abundantly Minimal community and started watching my videos, I'm grateful that you're here. And before we jump into the video, as part of just continuing the celebration, I thought I would do a Q&A video next. So if you've got any questions, whether they're related to like personal questions, minimalism questions, YouTube questions, anything really, leave those in the comments below because I will be doing a Q&A video next video. So to get started, I went to my channel and sorted the videos based upon upload date so I could see the oldest ones first. And the very first video I ever uploaded was a bathroom minimalist transformation, which now that I even look at that, that's a terrible title. I feel like I have my words wrong. But I uploaded it on February 21st, 2016. And at this point, I was actually too nervous to be on camera. So it was just voiceover. And I was just showing a few of the things we had done in our bathroom and how we had organized some things. And it was definitely a bit junky before. Still wasn't, this was early in my journey, so still wasn't dramatic. But we all have to start somewhere. My second video then was, what is minimalism? And this was the first time I actually put myself on camera. This was a bit of a challenge from a business coach I had at that point who encouraged us to make a YouTube video and just get out there and practice that. So it was 2.5 minutes, definitely pretty short here. Looking back on these kind of videos definitely reminds you of the different improvements you've made over the years. But again, we all start somewhere. Now these first videos were definitely clearly minimalism related, but then, the first 1.5 years, we didn't really upload much else that was minimalism content directly. I kind of wanted to be a food channel and a cooking channel, so I did this series called Minimal Eats, where I was making different types of simple recipes, which, still definitely can apply to minimalism. But with that, the behind the scenes that you don't know is that I actually filmed this at my school I was working at the time. It was a rural area and there wasn't a lot of security, so you were able to go into school whenever you wanted, even on the weekends. And so I'm pretty sure either I stayed really late one day and filmed all these in the kitchen at the school. I also taught cooking classes there, so people were used to seeing me in there. But then also, there was at least one Saturday where I even convinced Jake to come with me, and we spent, several hours while I was filming all these videos. And I also brought several outfits, so it looked like it was different days, but it was really just all the same day making all this stuff. So just little tidbit. The more recent school I was working at was much tighter on security, and there was no way you'd be able to come into the school at a random time like that to do something like this. But it worked out, and again, it was just sort of a funny little evolution of the channel. So made quite a few of those Minimal Eats videos. We did like breakfast versions, then pasta versions, and then from that point I kind of moved away from that. There was also a phase where I thought I would be a travel vlogger, which again doesn't really fit in with Abundantly Minimal, but I shared some videos related to, we had done a road trip in the United States, and then a few other travel videos. So we had gone to Thailand and Dubai, that, at least at this phase that we're on the channel. But then we shifted into the Abundantly Minimal podcast. This was still fairly early on in the journey, but I thought podcasting would be interesting, and so we gave it a try. It was creatively called the Abundantly Minimal Podcast, and it was something Jake and I did together, which was so much fun. I love working with Jake, and I think I've said this many times, but he's definitely a way better minimalist than I am, but I'm just the one who makes the videos and runs Abundantly Minimal. But we ended up doing 16 episodes, and I learned a lot from the process. Looking back, I do think that podcasting is probably a better fit for me than doing YouTube, just because my least favorite parts of doing videos is setting up lighting and, getting ready to be on camera and adding in visual effects. Those are all my least favorite parts. My favorite part is talking, which you can probably tell. So podcasting probably is still the best fit for me, but what felt frustrating about it at the time, we were losing money on the podcast. It was pretty time consuming. And after doing, the 4 months of episodes, 16 of them, truly it felt like no one cared. We literally never got a review, never had any comments or mentions of anything. We did later, after we stopped, some random person posted on Reddit that they really had enjoyed it, which we found later on. But it felt like no one cared, and so it just, when you're losing money and feel like you're wasting time, you want to look in other directions, and YouTube feels like so much more of a community. I think podcasting has grown a lot and become a lot more popular. And the door is not closed on podcasting again, but I do understand some of the challenges that go into it. So I'm not, eager to jump back in necessarily, but it was a good learning experience. And the episodes are on the channel if you missed them and you wanted to head back and check those out. Now, all the videos I've shared so far, those were all uploaded in the first year and a half. I really didn't do a lot of minimalism content or consistent content, and we did have a grand total of 33 subscribers. So I know it was a pretty big deal. But with that in mind, where things started to change and where I kind of had a little, heart to heart with myself, if we're going to call this Abundantly Minimal and we're going to take this seriously, we need to create, very specific minimalism content, and we have to create it much more consistently. So I'm a big fan of challenges and pushing myself, so I decided that May of 2017 would be Minimal May. And in doing so, I planned to upload 30 days worth of videos consecutively, all about different minimalism topics. And we almost made 28 videos during that time. And with that, that's what really helped start giving the channel some momentum. We ended up growing from the 33 subscribers to 400 in that month, and I did a lot of fun videos during that time. One of these was my very first anti-haul video, which was a series I ended up really enjoying over time and just sharing items I was decluttering. This was still, in the thick of my decluttering journey. You can definitely tell I was not doing great on my lighting there. I look a little washed out. It's also kind of fun going back and looking at these old videos because my outfits, many of them that I was wearing in past videos, I've decluttered, over time. So it's just been a very gradual evolution. And that's the thing I love about anti-haul videos is I truly do not remember having these different items. You forget what you declutter. And so the only way I would know is because I've got these videos documenting that. So during Minimal May, I uploaded a variety of different types of videos here. Some of them did take off a bit, which did give the channel some traction. And during this time, I started to have some of my first fans who were leaving comments. And I cannot emphasize enough, if you are a fan of a small channel, when you leave YouTube comments for them, that is the most exciting and validating thing. I remember the first fan I had who was commenting on my videos who I didn't know. Her name was Julie Mix, I believe. I hope she's doing okay. I haven't heard from her recently, but honestly, it just felt so good that it felt like someone cared about the channel, and it was just special to be able to, hear from viewers. And moving forward to today, the comments are honestly one of the best parts about doing it because it does help us to build that community and connect with one another and share perspectives and stories. So definitely keep those comments coming, and definitely reach out to those smaller channels who I think it would really mean a lot to. One series then that I already alluded to a little bit was starting my anti-haul series. I did it monthly for, I believe, about a year, and those were a lot of fun and seemed to resonate with people. It was, again, just showing what we were decluttering and getting rid of. So this was about the time we were moving back to the Chicago suburbs, and just talking about my rationale for why I was getting rid of these different items. And again, it's crazy because I forgot about all this stuff, and yeah, that's just very interesting. The first video that really changed things for the channel, which was my most popular video for a long time, was my From Hoarder to Minimalist video, where I decided to share some before footage I took before I had created Abundantly Minimal. The footage came from December of 2015, and I started my channel in February of 2016, so still pretty early on. But I remember when I filmed that before footage, I was just feeling so overwhelmed. I was really frustrated. I just felt like I wasn't getting my life together. And I didn't honestly expect that I would share that footage ever, because it's pretty embarrassing. And although the response was generally positive, I, periodically got the comments like, "Oh, wow, you were so lazy," or just, critical of it. That's normal. That's a part of being on YouTube. But I think the effect of sharing this ended up helping a lot of people, even though it was pretty nerve-wracking to actually upload this. Ultimately, I'm very grateful that I did, and just so it can be an example for other people that even if they feel the same way I did about, this before footage when I was living that life, it doesn't have to be like that, and you can make positive changes, which is, I think, very inspiring. So I'm also glad, though, this is no longer my most popular video, because it's like, if someone, at least when I discover a new channel, I'll often look to see what their most popular videos were, and I'm just grateful that this is no longer the most popular video. Now, as I was going through this list, there's obviously so many fun videos over time that I'm just not going to talk about. You can feel free to peruse those if you'd like yourself. I think a very notable next phase to talk about here have to do with my cookbook release. And it was exciting to me. It's called Eat Simple, and it was the first time I had ever released something like that to sell. So that was something that was very exciting to me. I definitely realized how much work it was, but I loved making that because it combines my love of food and making delicious, simple meals with also minimalism in general. So it was a really fun project to work on. And also I taught myself a lot about food photography because it was not a skill I had previously. And overall, it was just a really positive experience. And since then, I've published several different ebooks, but this was the very first one where I had to teach myself a lot along the way there. Now, this next section we'll say is more of a phase in general. Where I started to see more things take off was in the fall of 2018. I would say this was a bit of a golden age, if you will, of the channel. My videos were reaching new people. People seemed to really resonate with the topics I was sharing. I was having a ton of fun with it. I was still teaching at this time. But with this, during this time, I created videos about minimal habits, ways that less is more. I put together this pretty detailed declutter guide and all these different resources and links to help you declutter different types of topics. I did a day in the life of a minimalist, where I kind of modeled it after Matt Diavella. He had done a version, and I just did one for myself. Also, it was very exciting. We had bought our condo at this point, which was a big step for us. And actually, the same day we closed on our condo, I also, later that day, was interviewing Joshua Becker with his book, Minimalist Home. So that was also very exciting. And then that takes us to my video, I guess my most viral video. I mean, the word viral maybe is not the best word to describe it, but I uploaded my video, Before You Declutter, Watch This, 5 Decluttering Mistakes to Avoid, or How Not to Declutter. And this is my only video to ever make it to 1 million views. Now granted, it's been kind of a slow burn. I remember at this point I had never had a video perform as well early on, but then also it's been, sustained growth over on. The behind the scenes about when you have a viral video or a video that does much better is that chances are it's not actually your best work. For me, it was just another video. There was nothing about it that really stands out like, oh wow, that was a work of art. Sometimes there are videos where, you put a lot of extra work in and they do end up doing well. Other times they'll completely flop. And so this was just a regular video. It's not my best work by any means, but YouTube has kept recommending it to people, and it still continues to get about 1,000 views every day, even though it's a couple years old. So I'm very grateful. But I remember being stunned, like just the first day, like, wow, I don't remember the numbers now, but just stunned, like that many people watched it today. And I remember, I think Jake and we got some food out as like a celebration after it had maybe reached 100,000 like in that week or something. I was just blown away. And I know that success looks different for many people, and I'm by no means the most successful channel, but it was definitely just a wild experience and very exciting to, have this, and it gave the channel a lot of momentum. And to this day, still, it is my #1 video, pretty much every month. So again, it's just kind of wild how it all works out, but I'm very grateful for it. And honestly, had this video not done as well as it has, I probably wouldn't have been able to go full time on this on YouTube when I did, because it did bring in some additional revenue, and it also brought in a lot of subscribers and new fans. So truly, this one video changed so many things, even though it's just a regular video. The next video I want to talk about that was a really important step along the way was my Minimalism Myths video that I filmed with Vera from Simple Happy Zen. Now with this, the video, again, it was a regular video, and overall I've been very lucky to work with so many awesome people when I've done collaborations, but this was my first time working with Vera, and I don't exactly remember how that got set up, who had reached out to who. I can't remember, to be honest. My old email provider I was using, it was a terrible email provider, and when I shut down that account and switched elsewhere, I lost those early messages. And I think it was one of those situations where, when you meet someone and things just click. And I feel like our friendship formed very quickly just through the process of working together. We just kept emailing back and forth. And again, I don't have the exact emails, unfortunately, anymore. But my friendship with Vera has become so dear to me. She's the best friend I have who I've never met in person before. It's so nice to have someone in your life who gets exactly what you are about and what you're doing, and we can talk about YouTube stuff together. We talk about a lot of just fun, random stuff together, and we definitely have a big time zone gap since she's in the Netherlands and I'm in the United States, but it works out since I stay up pretty late, so we often will, I can look forward to some messages from her, usually around midnight or 1 in the morning, when it's, first thing in the day over there in the Netherlands. So it's just, I feel so lucky that we did this video together, and just for that friendship. She is an incredible, genuine person. And again, I've loved anyone I've worked with in a collaboration, but this was just so special to me, and I'm just so grateful for this friendship. So thank you, Vera. Another big milestone along the way was when I decided to go full-time with Abundantly Minimal, as well as my teacher business at the end of the school year in like May or June of 2019. And this was definitely a big step. I had first had the idea a few months before, and it just made a lot of sense to me, and I was very excited about it. It definitely was a big step, and it didn't go as well as I thought, to be completely honest, which I've shared before, and I'll share it in a little bit, at least at first. But overall, it has been an incredible choice, and I would make the same exact choice again. So yeah, it was definitely a big leap, and I know that for many people, maybe they have a dream of working for themselves, or being their own boss, being able to work from home. Well, the pandemic has led to more people working from home, but just the fact that I was able to do it, I feel very lucky. Many people are not in that position to be able to take a jump like that, and I have such a great support network in my husband Jake as well as my family, is always very supportive of me, so I felt safe to do that. It ended up being more difficult than I expected, but ultimately, I think one of the biggest things that it's taught me is just that we have to be willing to struggle if we want to, reach whatever heights or goals that we want. And I mean, that can manifest itself in a lot of ways. There was definitely some fun videos along the way here as I'm scrolling through these different ones. I released my second ebook, How to Declutter Without Guilt, or Declutter Without Guilt, in September of 2019. And that was also meaningful. That was my first decluttering related ebook. And I know it's kind of a specific topic, but I kept hearing emails and messages and comments from people talking about how they felt guilty for different reasons about letting go of certain items. So I wanted to put together a resource that was like a comprehensive list of approaches and tips to help you with all the different types of decluttering guilt. So that was definitely a pretty cool opportunity. I will say, though, as I hinted at, in general, the fall of 2019, and I guess continuing on, honestly, through, what I would consider, I still think in school years, as a, former teacher, I'm sure I'm always going to somewhat think about that. But that first year of doing, this full time taught me a lot, and it was a really hard year. And so I would say, hopefully I didn't really let on to this too much, but that was definitely my lowest point on YouTube. I didn't actually, make a direct video talking about that until the end of the year. But definitely I dealt with a bunch more criticism, and I really more so understood like the roller coaster effect people talk about with YouTube. YouTube, I think, has the potential to be both incredibly beautiful, but it can also mess with you in ways that, I didn't necessarily expect would happen. And it's definitely like a roller coaster. You're going up that ride and it's just going great, and things keep building on each other and you're just like, wow, it's all working. And then, maybe people stop liking your videos or stop caring about what you're sharing, or maybe some of the videos are not as recommended on YouTube, or whatever reason, and you can get very in your head about what's happening to the channel. I think the biggest pain point was, things were going great and everything was, continuing to move forward for a long period of time. And prior to me deciding to step away from being a classroom teacher, and it's like the moment that I needed, the moment I was counting on it staying like that and continuing to, stay the same, was when it fell apart and when my income depended upon it. And so I was pretty stressed out about it and didn't have as much happiness about doing it, unfortunately. It was definitely a rough point. Of course, there were still some cool videos that came out of that process. Some of my favorite ones, I did an intentional shopping video. I also did a 100 Things to Declutter video, which ended up being a lot of fun, kind of unofficial house tour style, going through lots of different decluttering ideas. But what did help, a turning point, I did this video about letting go, where I decided to step away from, a traditional posting schedule, sort of separate myself from being, that regular, consistent YouTuber I always had been, and just, posting a lot. And I do think that overall helped my happiness on the platform when I decided to step away a little bit from that perspective. And during this time, again, it was very challenging, but during moments of challenge, you get so much clarity. I decided to shift my focus away from, I truly thought abundantly minimal was going to be my thing, and that was going to be like always the big part of my business and of what I did. But I realized that I actually had it wrong. My teacher business needed to be the focus. And so I don't talk about that a lot on this channel, but I would say that is my number one focus. And fortunately this year it has done incredibly well and has actually surpassed my teaching salary. So I'm incredibly grateful for that, and I have so much fun with doing that as well. And I think that's also helped me feel happier on YouTube because I don't need it as much. Like if it doesn't do well, it's not like, okay, shoot, like how are we gonna pay the bills kind of a mindset. So that's been very helpful and reassuring. So I didn't mean to make this, sort of darker or emotional, but I mean, that's just the journey, ups and downs. But I will say throughout the summer then of 2020 is where I started to not only feel more connected, I received so much love and support from this community. That summer as I was sharing about both just my struggles from the previous year, as well as then when I was sick with COVID, so much support came in, and truly that made me realize just how many people, cared about me, and that was humbling, and I was just so appreciative. Into more happy times. This summer, I also started some new series. I started my Minimalist Living 101 series, and then also my Decluttering Ideas of the Month series. And these were just a ton of fun to do. And I just started to get more of my creative spark back again, and have enjoyed doing these videos. So it's been definitely a good year for the channel, and I'm just finding more joy in creating these different topics and serving up people as I can, in my different programs. January was also really fun. I had the chance to participate in that Clutter-Free January series that was hosted by Minimal Mom, and there were so many amazing channels and creators in that collaboration. So that was a ton of fun to be a part of it, and also gave me more excitement and motivation about YouTube and wanting to try to do better with my videos. Obviously, there's so many different styles of, making videos out there, and sometimes I can get a little bit in a rut of me talking and throwing on some image cards on the screen. But, even though I don't love filming some of these extra clips, I think they can overall help the video and the story, and sharing more specific examples. So it's definitely something I want to keep pushing myself to do as best as I can, and get more into doing that. So I'm really grateful for that, being part of that challenge, not only because many new faces joined the channel here and I learned about some other channels I hadn't heard of before, but also pushing me creatively, and just being so honored to be part of it, and wanting to, do my best work as well. And that takes us to today. Again, I am just so thankful for all of your support over the last 5 years. Again, I always had hoped it would be successful, but I didn't actually visualize that we'd be here, and I'm just so honored and humbled. So thank you so much for being a part of this journey. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the next video is going to be a Q&A, so leave any questions you have in the comments below. And I will also leave links to some of these videos I shared today if you do want to watch them, or take a further walk down memory lane if you'd like, or if there was a video that caught your eye that you wanted to check out. And again, just thank you so much for everything. It means so much to me, and I hope you continue living your best life with less, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.